Hey everybody, welcome back to Catbird Hill. John here. So I'm just about in the last phases of finishing up this fuel storage shed that I started in the previous video, and I think I put a little note in the description, building it with no plans, was this a mistake or not? I don't think I've made any major mistakes with this, even though I never had anything down on paper. This was sort of a cobble together. I didn't want to spend a ton of time with this. It's going to live outside. It's eventually going to, probably degrade over time, even though it is made out of pressure treated lumber, but we know that doesn't last forever. I tried to use what I had. I didn't want to buy a whole lot of material. So I wanted to make some doors for the front of it, and I started to overthink it a little bit. I was going to do sort of a frame and panel style door where I would make rails and stiles. I would dado out the inside of the rails and stiles and try to slide the slats of wood in that I would have made tenons on the end. And I started to play around with that a little bit, and this pressure treated one-by material is so unstable. Even from when I cut it a couple days ago, it's cupped and warped, and it would just be a mess trying to make that work perfectly. So I did something a little more basic, which is simple. It's almost like a barn-style door here, really, just with some battens across the top, bottom, and middle. I think it's going to be fine. It's not fancy. It's going to sort of go with the overall style of the shed. I think it'll work out pretty well. So we'll get to do a little bit of installation here with the doors. I tried to set up a few things ahead of time just so that it wouldn't be too tedious with you all watching me struggle with this if I was having issues. Okay. If you can hear that in the back, we have belted kingfishers here on the property, so they're fussing around in the background. They make kind of a funny rattle when they fly and call at the same time. Okay, so I just went to Lowe's and got some really inexpensive strap hinges. Nothing fancy. The black finish looks kind of nice against this wood. So we'll pop these in, and I bought just a little barrel bolt to keep the doors closed. But we'll see how this goes here. Let's see. You have to drop at least one screw when you're doing something like this, and fortunately I was able to find that. Usually you take 10 minutes to find it. It's a little chilly out here in southeastern Pennsylvania today. I think we've topped out at about 30 degrees. So definitely not ball cap weather.
should work pretty well. Let's just see how the opening and closing is here. Oh, that'll work all right. Yeah. I was a little worried about the hinges being maybe too thin, but I think that's going to be fine. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good look. Now, let's see if I did my measurements properly. Hey, not bad, huh? Pretty good. I was trying to line everything up nicely. You know, one of the things that's really frustrating, I'm sure a number of you watching this may sympathize. You know, you try to do a really good job with keeping everything square, and you know, when you're building like when I built these doors, you know, you might have seen when I had them set up on the floor, I had framing square, and actually I just grabbed a drywall square, and just to try to keep everything, you know, as square as possible. The material is very unforgiving, as I mentioned. You know, this pressure-treated lumber, when I bought this the other day, what I needed to buy that I didn't have, what I bought at Lowe's, you know, I'm pulling it off the stack, and the boards are actually wet. I mean, you could feel the moisture in your hands. It's probably, you know, partly some of the preservative, but you know, then you bring it into a dry environment, and as the wood dries, even just over the course of a couple of days, it just starts to twist and check. And you know, obviously this is, you know, very young growth pine, southern yellow pine that is used for the pressure-treated lumber. It's just a very unstable wood, so you know, you could drive yourself crazy making everything perfect with this, trying to keep it square. At the end of the day, it's going to do what it's going to do. So I'm trying to make peace with the fact that my best laid plans didn't always turn out the way I'd wanted them to. But I'm pretty happy with it, actually. I think that for what the intent is, I think it turned out really well. The thing is heavy as can be. I think somebody left a comment in the previous video. It looks like it's sturdy, and I replied by saying, you know, one thing that my brother and I used to say years ago, and we did a lot of projects together. If a Bradley builds it, it's not going to be pretty, but it ain't going to fall over. So this thing probably weighs 150 pounds. It'll be interesting to see me try to get it upright. Unfortunately, when I set it down to put the doors on today, I didn't quite control it enough on the way down, and the rear of it got a little bit of damage and chipping. But again, I'm not going to worry about it. Nobody's going to really see this except me, and this is one of those things you build it for function, really. Sometimes I'm surprised by the quality of things that you get. You know, I remember working in a hardware store when I was a young guy in high school, and I remember, you know, unloading a truck that would come in with the supplies for the store, and you know, there'd be bins of hardware, hinges, nuts, bolts, and boy, I tell you, everything seemed really sturdy back then. And then it seems like we went into a period of time where everything was super cheap, metal was thin, screws were cheap. These hinges, I'm really impressed with them. The metal's thick, and the finish on them's really nice. And they were not that expensive. I think these were like $3 a hinge from Lowe's. All right, way to go. Now we got to get a little barrel bolt on here. Probably about right. Again, I'm not going to overthink this too much here. The real fun part, probably the next video, should be me trying to move this into position. Where I'm going to put it is probably about 100 feet from here. I'm going to have to get my tractor with a loader and try to position this on the front of the loader to carry it over, strap it down on the loader. That looks like it'll work. All right. Get the gloves on so I can start to feel my fingers again. And we'll try to upright this a little bit and see if we get a good function on our doors. This ought to be interesting. Like I said, this thing weighs a lot. Whew. Well, you can see I am on a bit of an incline here because of my pad in front of my garage. So I'm going to turn this so we won't fight the incline. You know, it's not too bad looking. What do you guys think? I think it'll do the job. You can see what I kind of did on the top there. I made sort of a, like I said before, a board and batten design for the roof, which looks kind of cool. I think it's kind of interesting looking. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Not bad. I think all told, it took me about probably maybe 5 hours total to build this, 5 or 6 hours. That's not including, you know, stopping at Lowe's and getting the hardware and the extra lumber I needed. But anyhow, kind of a fun little project to do. So what we'll do is probably in the next video, I'll just do a little segment where I'll
bring the camera over to where it's going to live permanently, and I'll load all the fuel cans in there, and everybody can see, you know, how it holds the fuel. And it was interesting the other day. I sort of calculated very roughly, if I had all those fuel cans spread out on the floor of our equipment room barn, how much square footage it would take up. And it was kind of crazy. It was like 8-10 square feet of space with the fuel cans and the funnels and everything. So I'm really looking forward to reclaiming some of that space back there. Anyhow, thanks for watching this little build video, this two-part build video on our fuel shed. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. I love reading the comments, and you know, please give us some ideas on other things you'd like to see us do here at Catbird Hill. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what you know, your area is like, what kind of weather you guys are getting right now. As you can see, it's still pretty snow covered around here. We've got more snow coming this weekend and a lot more snow coming next week. So I wanted to bang this out while the weather was decent. If you like the videos, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to get the notifications when we publish a new video. Share these videos with your friends. Stay tuned for the next time here on Catbird Hill. Thanks, guys.